Hello, everybody. It's Mrs. Delano here again, and we are on our 5th week of health-related fitness components. This will be our last week going over these 5 health-related fitness components. So again, we're just going to do a quick review of the ones we've already covered. We have cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, and body composition. This very first week, we started working on cardiorespiratory endurance. Remember, that's the ability of your heart and your lungs to supply oxygen to the muscles during long periods of physical activity. And we've also been working on that FIT principle. Remember, it's different for each one of our health-related fitness components. And FIT is an acronym. Of course, we wouldn't really spell the word fit with two T's. There's only one. But in this instance, we have frequency, intensity, time, and that second T is type, and that tells us what kind of exercises fit in to these categories. So cardiorespiratory endurance, 3 to 5 times a week. Our intensity is at least a level 6 out of 10, and 20 minutes or more. Then we talked about muscular strength. Muscular strength is the ability of the muscle or a group of muscles to push or pull with maximum force. So we're thinking something really heavy, but you can't do it very many times. This is 2 to 4 times per week when we think about frequency. Intensity is it should be a heavy burning sensation in those muscles. Lets your body know that you're really working. Time, 8 or less repetitions. And remember, a repetition is one complete movement. So all the way up through the range of motion and then all the way down. Types, this is where it gets a little tricky. Muscular strength and muscular endurance can share a lot of activities. It just depends on how much weight you're lifting and how many times you're doing it. So if push-ups, pull-ups, thicker stretch bands, if these are exercises that you can work with 8 or less times, you're really working on muscular strength. And then we added muscular endurance. So this is kind of the opposite. It's lifting something light or holding something or holding your body in a position for a long time without stopping to rest, but you're able to do it over and over and over again. So the FIT principle looked a little bit like muscular strength. It's 2 to 4 times a week. There still should be a burning sensation, but instead the intensity should be a little bit lighter, but it takes you longer. So we're thinking 9 or more repetitions or holding for 30 seconds or more. Last week we moved on to flexibility. Flexibility is your muscle's ability to move a joint through its entire range of motion. We want you to do this daily. So we're thinking intensity is a mild pull. It should be uncomfortable, but never pain. You're holding it 10 seconds or more. I really push to 15 seconds or more on this. And type, some of the examples we gave you that we have taught you in PE for your hip and your low back flexibility, a modified hurdler stretch, a standing quad stretch, or a straight leg hamstring stretch. And then we did some yoga last week. This week, we are adding body composition. Body composition is a little different because it's less of a group or a type of activities, and it's more about learning what your body is made out of. So your body is made out of bones, muscle, fat, organs, and water. There is no FIT principle for body composition because it really encompasses all of the other health-related fitness components, the other 4, plus your diet and what you eat. We want a healthy balance of lean body tissue. So lean body tissue is what we would group our bones and our organs and muscles all together. And then fat is its own separate category. Water, of course, is also an essential component of our body, and we'll talk about that a little later. So first, we're going to talk about fat. Fat is essential, which means we need it. We need it in our body and we need it in our diet in order to survive. Fat is not our enemy. We hear that a lot in the media. We see it on the internet. We see it on TV. Fat is bad. Fat is bad. And that is not something we want you to be thinking, because we need fat in order to survive. So here are some of the things that fat does for us. It insulates our body. It keeps us warm. It cushions our organs, so our internal organs are not kind of like banging around inside our body. If we fall, we need to have a little bit of a cushion. We wouldn't want to bruise those really important organs. Fat gives our cells structure. So cells are the little building blocks of our body. Everything in our body is made out of cells. They're little tiny microscopic things you can see under a microscope. And the cell wall that forms the structure, actually a lot of that is made out of fat. So we need fat in order to keep those cell walls strong. We also have something called fat-soluble vitamins in our diet. So vitamins A, D, E, and K are called fat-soluble vitamins. And your body actually cannot use those vitamins unless fat is present. Fat is needed to dissolve those vitamins into a form that our bodies can use. Fat is also a building block for hormones. Hormones are those little messengers, those little chemical messengers that float around our body. They tell us when to grow. Hormones tell us when we should take off and run from a bear that's chasing us. Adrenaline is a hormone that really makes our body move. We have many, many, many hormones in our body, and fat is actually a building block for those hormones. The other side of fat is that we just don't want too much fat, because that can put us at risk for certain unhealthy conditions. Longer down the line, that can lead to heart disease. It can lead to type 2 diabetes and even some types of cancer. So we just want to be careful to keep a really healthy balance of fat in our body, in our body composition. Next, I want to talk about our lean body tissues. So those lean body tissues we talked about, bones, muscle, and organs. We're going to start with muscles. Muscles play a role, or they have a job, in just about every body function. The main jobs of our muscles are for movement, of course, being able to run and stand up and lift our hands up over our head. Muscles are what generate all of that movement. They also give stability. So when I'm trying to keep my shoulder still, if somebody's pushing against it, the muscles work in a way to keep that joint stable. Digestion. There are involuntary muscles that we don't even have to think about to move. They move automatically, that move food through our digestive system and help our body absorb nutrients. Respiration, our diaphragm, which is a muscle right at the base of your rib cage, and that muscle is what pulls oxygen into our body and allows our lungs to fill up. Heart rate and circulation, of course, hopefully everyone in Mrs. Swearingen-Gin's and my PE classes should know that your heart is a muscle. So of course, your heart rate and circulation, blood moving through your body, is the result of muscular effort. Posture, being able to stay upright. If we didn't have strong enough muscles, we wouldn't be able to hold our body upright. And then, of course, many other different functions. Bones. The next lean body tissue we want to talk about are bones. The main two functions of our bones are to protect our internal organs. Our skull is a really good example. Our skull is designed to protect our brain. Our rib cage is designed to protect our heart and our lungs and our liver. But the bones also provide structure for our body. So that's how we can stand up. That's how we're not just a blob on the ground. It's because we have bones that give our body structure, as well as protecting those internal organs. But the bones also play a major role in storing important minerals for our body. Calcium is one of those really important minerals that we use for muscle contraction, and that's stored in the bones. And also producing blood, the bone marrow of our long bones, like our femur, which is the longest bone in our body in the upper leg area. The bone marrow actually makes blood, so bones help produce blood. Organs, the third component of our lean body tissues, are our heart, our brains, our lungs, our eyes, our kidneys, etc. Those are all the things that obviously allow us to live. So we can't live without our organs. Last, we're going to talk about water. It's estimated that approximately 65% of a child's body is water, and that drops down only to about 60% in adults. So our body is mostly made out of water. Water has very, very important jobs. It helps regulate our body temperature. It helps in digestion and waste removal. So when you use the restroom, that is a result of water helping your body digest food and also filter out your blood. The kidneys filter blood, and then it produces urine. Water protects your brain and your spinal cord. It cushions your brain, cushions your spinal cord, and it also lubricates joints. So your joints have a little sac around them. It's actually called a bursa sac in a lot of cases, and it's filled with water, and it helps so your joints aren't rubbing bone on bone. So it helps lubricate them, make them move nice and smoothly. If we lack water, we have something that's called dehydration. Dehydration is a big word that means you don't have enough water. We lose water every day through our breathing. When we breathe, we have a little bit of moisture that comes out in our breath. You've seen that if you breathe on a window and it makes a fog. When we sweat, when we digest our food, and when we use the bathroom, when we use the restroom, we lose water. Oftentimes we hear people talking about a certain amount of water we should get each day. Make sure you drink 8 glasses of water a day, or make sure you drink 6 glasses of water each day. But what we also need to recognize is that we get water from our food sources, not just drinking it. So if you are eating fresh fruits and vegetables that have a high water content, that water counts towards your daily water intake. Some signs that you might need more water. A lot of us start to feel kind of headachy, a little tired, not very much energy. You actually feel thirsty. Sometimes your muscles can cramp, which is a really painful when your muscles get contracted even when you're not trying to, and it kind of, they get super tight and it's painful. Those all could be signs that you might need more water. So that's it for body composition. Now, this week's check-in, it looks a little different for a couple reasons. Since this is our last week of health-related fitness components, we want you to show us what you know about the 5 health-related fitness components that you've been working on in the past month. And you can certainly use this lesson and this slideshow to help you answer some of those questions on the Google form. But also, Mrs. Swearingen and I are going to be hosting a live Zoom question and answer session next Wednesday, May 13th at 1 p.m. That's our PE time. And so on the Google form, we've left a spot for you to add